So, OpenAI is claiming human-level reasoning in AI now. Well, it's a lot to unpack. What do they even mean by that? Should we be excited or, I don't know, maybe a little nervous?
Yeah, it's definitely gotten everyone talking. I think the important thing to remember here is, we're not talking about robots becoming sentient or anything like that. At least not yet. It's more about, think of it as like AI taking a big step forward in how it solves really, really complex problems.
Hmm.
Stuff that, stuff that used to be impossible for AI to even approach.
Right, right. And OpenAI they've been pushing the limits of what AI can do for a while now, right?
Yeah.
So what is it about these new models, the O1 family, I think they're calling them, that's got everyone so, I don't know, buzzed about this time?
Okay, so OpenAI, they think about AI development like in these levels, right?
Yeah.
5 of them. And on one end, you have your basic chatbots, like the kind of thing you'd see, well, all over the place now. But on the other end, you have these, organizations of AIs all working together. And these new O1 models, they've supposedly reached the second level. They call them reasoners.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big jump.
Reasoners, huh? So what does that actually mean? Like, what can these reasoners do that's so different from, like, the AI that helps me write an email?
So it's a massive leap. We're talking about AI that isn't just, working from a script. You know what I mean? This is AI that can actually think through a problem, connect the dots, come up with answers that even the experts didn't see coming. There was this one experiment where the O1 model had to, get this, design a new protein folding algorithm. And it didn't just like tweak what we already had. It came up with something totally new, something that like blew the minds of some pretty experienced biologists.
Wow. So not just crunching data, but actually innovating. That's something else. You mentioned complex problems. Where else are they testing these models out? What kind of stuff can they tackle?
Well, we're seeing some really interesting results in fields like quantum physics, for one, and molecular biology, definitely. And it's not just about like applying the knowledge we already have. These things are pushing the boundaries of what we know, period. There's even been talk about this O1 model coming up with these totally new mathematical proofs that are, well, more elegant, more efficient than anything humans have been able to come up with, which is kind of wild when you think about it.
Yeah, no kidding. Makes you wonder if we'll see a computer winning a Nobel Prize anytime soon.
Mhm.
But speaking of complex problems, I was reading that, and maybe this isn't surprising, but the O1 models aren't perfect. Something about a benchmark called SCODE that's giving them some trouble.
All right, they haven't quite cracked everything just yet. The SCO thing, that's interesting because it's really all about like how well an AI can understand and then solve problems that, relate to actual Nobel Prize winning research. And that takes a really specific kind of data, a specific kind of coding knowledge. It's even tripping up the O1 models, at least for now.
So still room for improvement, huh? Even for these, super smart AIs, does that mean OpenAI is going back to the drawing board, or are they like full steam ahead with this whole reasoner tech?
Oh, no, not at all. If anything, they're already like thinking about the next level,
Yeah.
which, they're calling them agentic systems.
Agentic systems. Okay, now that sounds like we're heading straight into like sci-fi territory here. What does that even look like, agentic systems in the real world?
Okay, so imagine this. An AI that can, not just understand and reason like we were talking about, but that can actually interact with the world on its own. Like it could set its own goals, make decisions, learn and adapt without us needing to, hold its hand every step of the way.
So you're saying like it's not just going to be ordering stuff on Amazon for me. It's going to be like negotiating my bills and planning my whole vacation, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Like think about having an AI assistant that, I don't know, not only manages your schedule, but negotiates a better rate on your car insurance, books your travel, knows what you like to eat, and orders your groceries. That's the kind of independent action they're talking about with these agentic systems.
Okay. That's a lot. It's incredible to think about the possibilities, sure, but it also kind of makes you wonder, right? Like, how do we know these AI systems are going to play by the rules? How can we be sure they're going to operate safely and reliably if they're off doing their own thing?
Yeah, and that is something that OpenAI is like really stressing. They've said it themselves, 99.99% reliability. That's the target, at least before they release anything like this into the wild. Especially when you're talking about things like, I don't know, like managing financial systems, anything with real world consequences,
Right, right. Makes sense. Rogue Roomba is one thing, but a rogue AI managing like the stock market? No, thank you. Speaking of which, building this kind of technology, this agentic AI, it's got to cost a fortune, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. This isn't some side project,
Yeah.
We're talking massive investment. OpenAI's valuation right now is, get this, $157 billion.
$157 billion.
Yeah. And to be fair, they're projecting a pretty big loss this year, but the expectation is they'll be in the black next year.
Wow. High risk, high reward, huh?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in all the money talk, but at the end of the day, I think what people really want to know is how this is going to affect them, right? Like, are we all going to have our own personal AI assistant by next Christmas? Is that what we're talking about?
I mean, hey, it's not impossible. Imagine if every student had, like, a personalized AI tutor, one that actually adapts to how they learn best, helps them really grasp those tough concepts, but in a way that's, actually engaging.
Personalized AI tutors. Man, I could have used that back in the day. What else? What other kind of applications are we likely to see, like in the near future? What's next? Or what about, like, I don't know, financial advisors, but like hyper efficient ones? AI that can, like, really analyze the market, make investment decisions, but, with a level of, I don't know, sophistication that most humans can only dream of. That could be huge for a lot of people.
Oh, totally. And honestly, those are just a couple examples off the top of my head. But the point is, the potential here, it really does feel kind of limitless.
Yeah.
Like we're talking every industry, every aspect of our lives. I mean, it almost feels like, remember what it was like when the internet first,
Yeah.
really took off?
Yeah.
Kind of feels like that, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
we're on the verge of something.
Big. It makes you wonder, I mean, are we talking AGI here? Artificial General Intelligence. Is this, like, the moment? Have we finally cracked the code?
Well, even the definition of AGI is kind of a moving target, right?
Right.
I mean, there's this whole debate about whether AGI is about like perfectly recreating human intelligence, like emotions, all that, or if it's more about exceeding our capabilities, but in ways that are, actually useful,
Yeah.
beneficial.
So not so much about AI becoming human, but more about AI, I don't know, evolving its own kind of intelligence, one that maybe surpasses our own, but in very specific ways.
Exactly. Like, what if AI can solve problems we can barely even wrap our heads around? What if it can innovate in ways we haven't even thought of yet?
Well, and that's kind of a mind-blowing idea, right? But it's also, I don't know, a little bit, I don't know, unnerving. Like, what happens when we create something that can learn and improve itself so fast? I mean, are we talking about, like, an intelligence explosion, like the singularity, all that? Is that, like, a real possibility?
Yeah, it's a big question. There's a lot of debate about it. I mean, some people really do believe that once AI hits a certain level, it'll just, like, take off. Start researching and developing itself, and boom, humans are left in the dust.
Right.
It's not impossible, but I think it's also important to remember we are still a long way off from, AI being totally autonomous.
Okay. So maybe we're not handing over the keys to the spaceship just yet. But I think it's safe to say that, whether or not it's AGI, this is something different, something new. And
Yeah.
it has the potential to really change the world as we know it.
Absolutely. And I think the real question isn't so much about, whether these models are as smart
Yeah.
as humans. It's more about understanding that this is a different kind of intelligence, right? It operates under different rules.
Mhm.
And we need to be asking ourselves some serious questions about how we make sure this technology is used for good for everyone.
Well said. So we've covered a lot today. What are some of the key takeaways you hope our listeners, really walk away with from this deep dive?
Well, first of all, I'd say don't stop asking questions. Stay curious, keep learning, talk to people, have some good conversations about what all this means. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about the tech itself. It's about how we choose to use it.
Couldn't agree more. Well, it feels like we're kind of standing at the edge of, I don't know, a whole new frontier here. And honestly, it's both exciting and, well, maybe a little bit daunting at the same time.
I think that's a pretty good way to put it. It's an interesting time to be, well, alive and thinking about AI.
No kidding. Well, that's going to do it for our deep dive into OpenAI's groundbreaking new models. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on this story as it develops. But until then, keep those questions coming. Thanks for listening.